A woman got back home after a long day at work. It had been a very long and tiring day, so she figured she would go and take a shower to relax. She goes and turns on the shower, and once done, she goes to the bedroom to get some fresh clothes. On the way to the bedroom, she sees herself in the mirror and starts looking at her breasts. She looks and looks, touches them, and continues looking at them. Finally, her husband notices this and asks, "What are you doing, darling?" She continues looking at herself in the mirror and says, "Honey, I just had the worst day ever. And now I noticed how small my breasts are." The man keeps quiet. The woman then says, "Well, come on now. Don't you have anything to say?" The man keeps quiet for a while, but finally says, "Well, if you want them to be bigger." The woman says, "Yes? What should I do?" The man continues, "Well, you can take some toilet paper and rub it between your breasts for a few seconds." Confused, she figures that she will try. It won't hurt her at least. So she takes a piece of toilet paper and starts rubbing it to her chest. After some time, she asks, "Well, see any difference?" The man says, "Well, it doesn't happen just like that. It will take a couple of years at least doing that daily." The woman gets more confused and asks, "But why would that help and make them bigger?" The man says, "Well, it sure has worked for your ass, didn't it?" A young girl was diligently working on a paper for school, her brow furrowed in concentration as she researched and wrote. During her research, she came across a concept that puzzled her, a nuance in language that she couldn't quite grasp. Hoping for a clear and understandable explanation, she approached her father, who was relaxing in the living room, and asked, "Dad, what is the difference between anger and exasperation?" Her father thought for a moment, considering the best way to explain the subtle distinction to his daughter. He then replied with a smile, "It's mostly a matter of degrees, sweetheart, but let me demonstrate what I mean by that." Curious and eager to understand, the girl watched intently as her father walked over to the telephone, a landline that was rarely used anymore. He randomly dialed a number he had never called before, his finger hovering over the keypad. He patiently waited for someone to answer, the dial tone humming in the background. Finally, a man's voice came through the receiver, sounding somewhat gruff. "Hello?" the man answered. The father responded calmly, "Hello, is Melvin there?" The man on the other end sounded slightly irritated as he replied, "There is no one living here named Melvin. Why don't you learn to look up numbers before you dial them?" With a sigh of annoyance, the man hung up the phone. The father hung up the phone and turned to his daughter, saying, "See, that man wasn't very happy with our call. He was probably busy with something and our interruption annoyed him." That was a mild example of anger. He then proceeded to dial the same number again, a mischievous glint in his eye. The same man answered, this time with a noticeable edge in his voice, his patience clearly wearing thin. "Hello," he answered, his tone curt. "Hello?" the father asked once more, maintaining his calm demeanor. "Is Melvin there?" The man's voice grew heated, frustration boiling over. "Now look here," he said, his voice rising in volume. "You just called this number, and I told you that there is no Melvin here. You've got a lot of nerve calling again with that nonsense." With an angry huff, the receiver was slammed down hard on the other end. The father turned to his daughter and said, "You see?" That was a stronger example of anger, but now I'll show you what exasperation means. He dialed the same number for the third time, a knowing smile playing on his lips. A furious voice answered almost immediately, the man's temper clearly at its breaking point. "Hello!" he practically screamed into the phone. The father, maintaining his calm and collected demeanor, said politely, "Hello, this is Melvin. Have there been any calls for me?"